If you're learning from this comeback story, hit that like button and subscribe, because this is Wealth Mode, where we turn setbacks into setups. And today, we're breaking down one of the most iconic reinventions in business and pop culture history. This isn't just a story about fame. It's not just a story about scandal. It's a blueprint for how to rebuild your life, your brand, and your wealth when everything seems lost. Most people know Martha Stewart as the queen of lifestyle. Before social media, before influencers, before Pinterest boards and aesthetic home tours, Martha was the aesthetic. She built an empire on cooking, gardening, crafting, decorating, entertaining. She became the definition of taste and domestic elegance. By the early 2000s, she had a magazine empire, best-selling books, major TV shows, and partnerships in virtually every home goods aisle in America. She wasn't just running a business, she was shaping culture. But success at that level comes with pressure, attention, and scrutiny. And when one decision went wrong, everything came crashing down. In 2004, Martha was convicted of lying to investigators about a stock sale and sentenced to 5 months in federal prison. Public opinion flipped instantly, the media dragged her. Late-night hosts mocked her. Headlines labeled her a fraud. For many public figures, this is the moment where the story ends, the part where the lights fade, brands walk away, and the world moves on without you. But Martha didn't see it that way. She didn't treat prison as a final chapter. She treated it like a plot twist, a setback that could be turned into a setup. When she walked out of prison, she didn't act defeated. She walked out like someone who still had something to prove. She returned to TV. She re-entered business. She reconnected with her audience. And she did it without pretending the past didn't happen. She brought the same focus, the same energy, and the same ambition she had before. But now, with a new layer of humility and strength, the world expected her to shrink. Instead, she expanded. But the real comeback moment, the move that turned her from former lifestyle mogul into a pop culture icon, came in 2016 with a partnership nobody saw coming. Martha Stewart teamed up with Snoop Dogg for Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party. At first, people thought it was a joke, a homemaking legend sitting next to one of hip-hop's most legendary figures, a man famous for his laid-back vibe and love for weed. It sounded like the most random matchup in entertainment, but that randomness, that contrast, that's exactly what made it brilliant. What most people didn't know was that Martha and Snoop had already hit it off years earlier on a talk show appearance. Their chemistry was instant, natural, funny, and completely unexpected. When they reunited for the show, it was clear this wasn't staged. This was real. Their banter was hilarious. Their dynamic was electric. Their friendship felt genuine. And viewers connected with that authenticity. The show blew up. It trended on social media. It inspired memes, reaction clips, and fan edits. Martha wasn't just making recipes. She was becoming culturally relevant again, tapping into an entirely new audience who had never watched a single cooking show in their lives. Suddenly, Martha Stewart was cool again. She was funny. She was relatable. She was self-aware. The woman who once represented flawless perfection now represented confidence, reinvention, and the ability to pivot. It was a brand rebirth so natural that even professional marketers couldn't have planned it. She didn't force the rebrand. She became the rebrand. With her image restored and her reach expanded, Martha started stacking wins again. She launched new products, collaborated with new companies, and explored industries she had never touched before. From CBD wellness lines to partnerships with major retailers, she became a staple on talk shows, streaming services, and social media. She didn't just get her empire back. She built a bigger, more modern, more culturally powerful version of it. And then came the huge financial moment. In 2019, her company was sold to marquee brands for $215 million. But here's the wealth move. She stayed on as the creative visionary. She secured the bag and kept her influence. That's not a comeback. That's a masterclass. So how exactly did Martha transform a reputation hit into a wealth-building breakthrough? It comes down to 3 powerful principles, and each one is something you can apply in your own journey. Principle 1. Control your story. Don't let your story control you. Most people fall apart when their reputation takes a hit. They hide. They avoid the spotlight. They let other people, critics, headlines, gossip, define who they are. But Martha understood something powerful. The only way to reclaim a narrative is to tell it yourself. She didn't deny her situation. She didn't run from the past. She faced it openly and honestly, by acknowledging the mistake and then focusing on what came next.
Forward model agency, so she took me to...
She stripped away the power of the criticism. When you take ownership of your story, people have no choice but to see you differently. You become human. You become relatable. You become someone who made a mistake, not someone defined by a mistake. Martha turned what could have been a permanent stain into a stepping stone. And the lesson here is simple. No matter what happens, you are the narrator of your life. As long as you keep talking, the story keeps going. Principle 2. Evolve your brand, because growth is more powerful than perfection. Before her scandal, Martha's brand was built on flawless presentation, perfect homes, perfect decorations, perfect recipes. People admired her, but they also saw her as distant. Perfection doesn't leave room for connection. But after prison, Martha shifted. She didn't try to pretend everything was still flawless. She let herself be funny, authentic, and imperfect. She started showing a real personality, not just a polished one. This evolution made her more beloved than ever. People don't connect with perfect, they connect with real. They connect with vulnerability, humor, honesty, and the courage to show up as a human being rather than a carefully manufactured image. Martha's comeback wasn't powered by returning to old ways. It was fueled by becoming something new. And in your own life, when you grow, evolve, and adapt, you create space for opportunities that were never possible before. Principle 3. Expand your reach. Because new audiences mean new opportunities. The partnership with Snoop wasn't just a fun TV moment, it was a strategic expansion into a new world. Snoop brought an entirely different demographic. Younger viewers, hip-hop fans, social media culture, and an audience that otherwise would have never looked in Martha's direction. Through authenticity and collaboration, Martha tapped into a cultural lane far outside her traditional market. That crossover created viral moments, fresh brand energy, and long-term relevance. This is the power of partnership. When you collaborate with people who bring a different audience, different energy, and different perspective, your world gets bigger, your influence expands, your opportunities multiply. Martha's willingness to step into a new space opened doors that her old brand never could have accessed. And the lesson is clear. Sometimes the biggest wins come from the most unexpected alliances. So remember this, your past is a chapter, not the whole book. Your mistakes are lessons, not life sentences. And your comeback can be bigger than your setback, if you choose to write it that way. If Martha can turn scandal into success, imagine what you could do with focus, consistency, creativity, and belief in your own story. This is Wealth Mode, where setbacks become strategies and every fall becomes an opportunity for rise. Stay tuned, stay driven, and stay ready for your next move.